Get ready to be pumped up from the perspective of a former Trainer of the Year. Personal trainers, this episode will personally speak to you. Stay tuned for another educational episode from the Fitness Business Podcast. The Fitness Business Podcast takes great pride in providing a variety of topics and guests for you, our FBP family. If there is a particular episode or guest that you absolutely loved, please share it and tag us on your favorite social media outlet. Oh, and a review on iTunes would be greatly appreciated. Welcome to the Fitness Business Podcast. I am your host, Dory Nugent, and today our guest, Paul Meldrum, is here to help you become the ultimate client transformation expert. Paul is the owner of Meldrum Performance Coaching. He is the recipient of the Clinical Excellence Award from the Australian Sports Kinesiology Institute, and he is the former Personal Trainer of the Year. Now that's impressive. This is why Paul Meldrum is our industry expert today. We will hear from Paul in less than 2 minutes. First, a huge thank you to Rex Roundtables for supporting our show.
Professional facilitation with a group of non-competing owners to stay ahead of the industry curve is the USP of Rex Roundtables. To find your local roundtable, go to rexroundtables.com. That's rexroundtables.com.
We love Rex Roundtables, and I know you're going to as well. So please check them out at rexroundtables.com.
Get your pen ready now for Keep Me's Fit Bizpiration.
What are your 3 top tips to turning the ideas that you talked about today into actions?
So 3 top tips. The first one I would say is utilize templates in your training programs for clients. The reason for that is it will help you with the individualization. You can give your clients templates and you can individualize the aspects that need to be individualized. The warm-up, the exercise selection. I wouldn't worry about the volume initially, because what it does, it gives you an opportunity to basically perform a little scientific experiment and see how people respond to the program template that you've developed. So you can see if you've developed an effective program for hypertrophy, an effective program for strength or fat loss by actually testing it against a lot of people. And then you see if your program works really well. The second tip from podcast and what to take away is to start utilizing food journals with your clients to help them facilitate change. If you do this, it does a number of things. First, it keeps you within the scope of practice as a personal trainer, which is very important to do. Secondly, what it allows you to do is actually go through it with your client and actually point out A, bright spots, which is really important to point out what they're doing well, and B, point out things that they're not doing so well and get the client to actually identify how that's impacting them in their ability to achieve their results. And then finally, the third thing that the food journal does is it gives you an opportunity to find out if they are having moments where they're using food as emotional relief, they're using it to provide comfort, and how we can identify if someone has a poor relationship with food. And the final thing that I would say to take away from those particular tips is to actually look at the client levels. So break that down. Where are your clients at? Are the majority of them level 1s? Are the majority of them level 2s? Are the majority level 3s? And from there, you can break down your own education and your own coaching business from that. So if you're dealing with, say you're working a commercial gym and you're working primarily with level 1 clients, but you're studying really advanced periodization and supplementation techniques, what you're investing your time in is not going to pay off to improving your business and the results of the clients that you're currently working with. You'd be better off picking up a book like Atomic Habits by James Clear and learning how to formulate habits for your clients. Then looking at your coaching strategies and how you actually deliver, you'll probably find a ton of leaks in your boat. I mentor a ton of trainers, and a lot of them are working with level 1, level 2 clients, and they only give level 3 coaching strategies, particularly for nutrition. They wondered why their retention was bad, and I had a look at it, and it took literally about 5 minutes to figure out what was going on. Make sure your coaching strategies that you implement every single day are relative to the client you're working with, not just the coaching strategy that you prefer to use. If you can do that, those 3 tips put together will transform your personal training business.
Coming to the show next week, Danielle Hayden from Kickstart Accounting Inc. And we are going to talk about the power of 1%. Now what do I mean by the power of 1%? Well, you're going to have to come back next week to find out. Now, after today's episode, I'll introduce you to Danielle and you'll hear why you need to take a few minutes out of your day next week to listen to her episode.
This podcast is brought to you by Hapana. Hapana is a cutting-edge membership management solution prioritizing insane engagement. Hapana puts your brand first so you can facilitate deep, meaningful connections with clients and members to book, pay, consume content, and build community. Hapana partners with fitness brands in both the boutique and big box segments that want to drive efficient operations and maximum engagement with clients and members. And they do this by providing direct world-class support with a passionate team who cares about your success. To see how you can transform your brand, go to Hapana.com and ask for a demonstration. Hapana, engineered for engagement.
Let's transition into this week's interview with Paul Meldrum. Paul, thank you so much for coming onto the Fitness Business Podcast. I think this is your first time.
First time here, yes, absolutely.
Well, we welcome you with open arms. Thank you so much for being our industry expert today. I love our topic. It's new for us. It's a first time, and it's how to become the ultimate client transformation expert.
Yes, it is. So this is something I've been working with for a long time and basically managed to formulate it down into 3 areas, 9 overarching principles, which will help any trainer transform any client, whether it's physically, nutritionally, emotionally, mentally. It works with all contexts of goals.
All right. Well, we're going to hand the mic over to you, and you're going to have the next so many minutes that you're going to explain to everybody how they get to become this expert. So, Paul, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome. I will do my best to stay within the constraints I've been given, but I'm sure we'll get there. So basically, to become the ultimate client transformation expert, a lot of trainers approach what we do with a very binocular focus. We focus on one thing at a time. It's training, it's nutrition, it's macros, it's mindset only. No one really does it as an integrated whole. So look at all those different things for our clients, and then also what level our clients are at and how we need to communicate that with them and what strategies are going to work with them to help them achieve their goal. When people think transformation, they automatically think one thing: 28 days, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, etc. They think a finite time period, and the transformation is a before and an after pick. And realistically, that's one small element of a complete client transformation. Ideally, if your client has a complete transformation, by the end of the time you've been working with them, they can do it themselves. They'll know how to train themselves. They'll have a good relationship with food. They'll be able to create a nutrition plan for themselves that they can stick to and they can adhere to, that works in the constraints of their life and allows them to also have a social life. And they'll have a healthy mindset. They'll have a good relationship with themselves, with other people. They'll be able to tolerate pain when it handles and bounce back from setbacks. So really, my idea of a client transformation is something that's a little bit more holistic than what most people look at. But when you start breaking it down and understanding it, all the principles relate together and work together to create a product that's greater than the sum of its parts. So I break it down into 3 areas and 3 levels of clients. So I'll break that down real quickly for everyone. There's level 1 clients. These are, for most PTs, they're our base client. They're our bread and butter. People who come to us, they've never been to a gym before. They're scared. They're anxious in the environment. They don't really know anything about food. They might watch the movie Mean Girls and hear the line, "Is butter a carb?" and wonder if it's true. They don't really know anything yet. And unfortunately, our industry doesn't really cater for these people. We put up stuff on social media saying stuff like, "Oh, there's no such thing as toning," or "You just need to build muscle." And it just makes people feel worse than what they already did. So level 1 clients are the ones who need our help the most, but we don't give them the most amount of help. Most of our strategies are based towards advanced clients like macro counting and tracking and advanced periodization strategies, where these clients need basic principles. From here, we have level 2 clients. These clients have trained for a while. they've got decent nutrition habits, they like going to the gym, it's part of their life, it's part of who they are. These are the clients that if you can take a level 1 to a level 2, you've effectively changed that person's life forever. You have actually succeeded in your job as a personal trainer, as a health coach, as a fitness professional, because that person's now in the habit of exercising. They've totally changed their nutrition plans. They may not be tracking everything to the gram and following a complex Bulgarian periodization scheme and have like ripped six pack, but they're so much healthier, both mentally and physically. Level 2 clients are the kind of clients that when you have, they'll stick around with the personal trainer for a long time, which in terms of building a decent business is really, really important. You want to have long-term client retention. Otherwise, you're constantly acquiring clients and then you just go backwards because your retention is poor. And then finally, you got level 3 clients. Level 3 clients are either your favorite or your least favorite client in the world. They're the clients who training is their life. It's the most important thing in the world to them. They'll come to you and go, what do you think of my macros today? Oh, I saw this new exercise for the lower trapezius. Do you think I need it to improve my upward rotation of my scapula? They're into it. And level 3 clients can be great because you can give them very basic instructions. Do this, they'll go and do it, or they'll argue with you till they're blue in the face about everything you do. So they can work very well for different trainers and different personality types. But what we need to do is we need to identify our clients where they fit on their client level so we can give them the best possible service. If we give a level 3 strategy to a level 1 client, like say macro tracking, the level 1 client's just going to throw their phone away and just have enough and they're just going to quit. Whereas if we tell a level 3 client, all right, cool, today I want you to have 2 servings of vegetables, they're going to go, this isn't advanced enough for me, this trainer doesn't have what I need. So the first step to becoming the ultimate client transformation expert is identifying where your clients are. Are they a 1? Are they a 2? Are they a 3? Then we go through principles of training, nutrition, and mindset and apply the right ones at the right time for the right client to always achieve a proper client transformation. So with training, we have 3 principles. Because obviously we have to talk about training, it's personal training, right? Training principle is use the right tool for the job. Use the right tool for the job every single time. So what this means is trainers, this is why I recommend Daniel Kahneman's book, Thinking Fast and Slow. Trainers have biases. If I've been powerlifting for a while and I really enjoy it, all my clients seem to turn into powerlifters. We see it all the time in the gym. Someone does a kettlebell certification, suddenly everyone's doing kettlebells. And it's not that kettlebells are a bad tool. Far from it. Kettlebells are awesome. But if someone's coming to you for hypertrophy, are they the best tool? No. Are they the best tool for strength development? No. Are they the best tool for cardiovascular development? No. Do they do a bit of everything? Yes. So what we need to do is use the right tool that's appropriate for the client. So we're going to talk about a beginner client who's never trained. What's the right tool for them? Probably machines a lot of the time. Basic stuff, get them comfortable in the gym, make sure that they feel comfortable achieving progressive overload. For an advanced client, drop sets, Myo reps, like any of the cool training techniques can work really well for them. So we need to make sure that we use the right tool for the job every single time with each level of client. And there's no rule for what the right tool is. So just because I say it doesn't mean it's actually it. It's my guess, my opinion. Trainers can use this information to make their own framework, which they operate in, which I think is the most powerful thing here because it promotes critical thinking. Now, the second training principle I talk about with people is move well to move often, which is ripped off straight away from Gray Cook and the functional movement screen people. And I think it's a really important principle to get well because a lot of the fitness industry trend at the moment in the rehabilitation space as well is to really dive into the biopsychosocial model, which is where injuries aren't just a biomechanical issue. It's to do with our emotions, our mindset, our headspace, overall volume. There's a ton of different factors. And I love it. I think it's really fantastic. But it's gone too far. The pendulum's gone way too far in one direction. These trainers, coaches, therapists that subscribe to this model are now saying that form doesn't matter. And you should just be there to support people and give an engaging experience. And yes, you should be there to support people and give an engaging experience, but you want them to do it well because they get better outcomes. You wouldn't go learn basketball, for example, and just have the coach say, I'll just shoot it how you want. Or golf pro. Just hit the ball how you feel like, you'll be fine. You want to increase technical skill or move well to get better outcomes, because if you move well with your clients, they can do more training volume. The training volume that they do, if limited due to their time constraints, will be more effective per unit of time. So they get a higher return on investment. Some people, and this isn't proven by research, but anecdotally, I see that people, when they improve their movement quality, aches, pains, niggles, etc., improve. They don't always go away, but they get better. So I don't think you can actually, besides the fact of laziness, I don't think you can make an argument against helping people move better. It just doesn't seem to exist. And then finally, principle number 3 is individualization. So I touched on this in the preview. Individualization is one of these things that trainers and programs that you see in the net talk about all the time. It's like, oh, you're going to get a totally individualized program. Everything's totally customized for you. And the program has squat, bench, deadlift. That's not really individualization at all. And the reality of the situation is individualization will happen on a spectrum. It will happen over time. If I have a beginner coming to me and they've never trained before, anything's going to work. You can achieve quadricep hypertrophy by putting them on the exercise bike. You don't need to do leg presses and leg extensions and squats for them to get their outcome that they're after. So the individualization has to change over time and get more and more individualized as you learn how someone responds. And this is where trainers really, they worry about the initial program too much rather than just coaching well, rather than worrying about the program 12 months down the track. So with the individualization, I recommend trainers individualize 3 things, and this fits into the client levels as well. The first one is the warm-up. So if someone's got pretty average movement quality and movement strategies, give them a warm-up to help improve that. Let's help them move well to move often. Pretty simple, right? If it ties into the previous principle. If someone's moving well and then they're training for a specific goal, whether it be fat loss, hypertrophy, strength, whatever it is, let's give them a warm-up that is specific to that task, i.e. use the right tool for the damn job. So if someone's doing a power, like a strength type workout, let's do some jumps. Let's potentiate their nervous system and get them excited. If they're doing a hypertrophy type workout, let's take the muscles that they're going to train for a full range of motion quite slowly so they can get a really decent contraction and get the joints that they need to stimulate warmed up fully. So that would be one of the things I individualize. The next one I would individualize is exercise selection, which is based on first movement competency, i.e. what level the client's at. So if someone can barely touch their toes, you're not going to give them full deadlifts from the ground. Silly. They don't have the physical competency to do that. You might give them a kettlebell deadlift. If they're looking for hypertrophy, you might give them a Romanian deadlift over a full deadlift because it targets the target muscle a little bit more effectively. So exercise selection based on the client's competency, i.e. their level, and then based on their goal. Again, right tool for the job. And then finally, individualized volume. So how much training someone can do and handle. But again, that's something that you can only do after time. So if most trainers just listen to that, well, just the training principles, they will change how they train their clients forever, and they'll have a much easier system to use. Now from here, we go into nutrition. And nutrition is actually really, really simple. First thing is no dogma. That's the first principle we have, which no dogma means no rules, meaning no client has to eat paleo, no client has to be vegan, no client has to do anything. It needs to fit into their constraints and what works for them so they can have adherence. So as soon as you remove dogma, half the problems disappear. Like trainers can't eat fruit at night. Well, some people love fruit at night. Make it work. And that fits into nutrition principle 2, which is become client-centered and client-focused. Put the client in the driving seat. If it's a level 1 client and they've never eaten before, they've never followed a diet, etc., giving them a specific macro prescription is chaotic. It's out of the scope of practice, but it's also chaotic. So helping them identify what habits will help them feel better, look better, move better, etc., is going to be far more powerful for them. And when the client has the ability to choose the strategy, it empowers them. It creates autonomy. It creates intrinsic motivation because when they succeed, they're like, oh, hell, I did it. Which is so much more powerful than just surviving through a 12-week slog of chicken breast and rice and broccoli. Let the client have control as long as their control isn't absolutely chaotic, meaning they decide that Doritos are a good addition to every meal. Some clients might, who knows? But having a client-centered approach makes nutrition coaching so much easier for you as a personal trainer because you never broach the scope of practice. Your client stays happy the whole time, and they start developing those qualities which take them from a level 1 to a level 3. Or should go up, shouldn't they? Level 1 to a level 3. They start to develop knowledge about nutrition, how their body responds, they learn. And then finally, the final principle is to make it habit-based and sustainable. If a client can't see themselves doing it in 3 months' time, it's not going to transform them. The only exceptions to the rule are physique and physique and strength sport preparation. So if someone's going on a bodybuilding stage, it's not sustainable. It's not meant to be sustainable. Neither is a water cut for a strength sport or an athletic endeavor. So those things aren't meant to be sustainable. And as soon as we recognize that and go, they are for that purpose, they're totally fine. It's just when we try and apply something that's not sustainable and habit-based to what we want to do with everyday clients, where we run into roadblocks. So we want to sort that out. So getting your clients to prioritize habits. So, 5 servings of vegetables a day, 2 servings of fruit, protein with every meal, water with every meal. Like there's so many different habits that you can have. Get outside in the sun for 10 minutes, walk after every, it doesn't matter. As long as the habit's health promoting and the client has charge of it and you're not applying your dietary preferences and dogma to that client, i.e. all the principles fitting together, you're going to have client success in nutrition. And over a period of time, if you take a level 1 who's got really poor dietary habits, and then you take them to a level 3 where their habits are awesome, they're going to totally transform their body and also their health. So we can't tick those boxes with training and nutrition. Now we touch on mindset. And mindset's a very nebulous term. People use it for everything. If we're going to go down the very definitive definition, mindset is, there's a growth mindset and a fixed mindset. You can improve and get better, or your abilities are fixed and set in stone. Mindset, I'm using it as a bit more of an all-encompassing scope rather than saying psychological health. So the first one we want to have is a decent relationship with food. The first mindset principle we want to instill. So if a client uses food to soothe themselves for emotional comfort, etc., they're never going to succeed in changing their body composition, because every time they get upset, they're going to eat and drink the pain away. So our goal as trainers is to identify if these things happen. We're not psychologists. We're not breaching our scope of practice in this way at all, but help them come up with other strategies for when they do feel stressed to then help them move on and make better choices. And the simple act of using a food journal and going, oh, cool, Dory, I noticed here that you, at about 2:00, you ate 2 blocks of chocolate. That's impressive. Tell me what was going on. Oh, I just had a fight with my boss at work. Okay. Can you see how you're using food as an emotional stress? And the client, to deal with stress, the client will go, oh my God, yeah, I do. And that moment of realization will allow them to facilitate change. So again, it becomes client-centered. There's no dogma and the client is in charge. The next one is tool I teach is self-compassion. So it sounds really airy-fairy, give yourself a hug, everything's okay. Self-compassion is simply a skill set to help you get back on track when you fall off the rails. And I've never come across a client who has never fallen off a nutrition plan or training program. No one has ever been perfect, ever. Even me, I know, hard to believe. But self-compassion, basically I teach my clients there's 3 tenets of it. Mindfulness, so being aware of what's going on, being aware that you're going off the rails, for example. Common humanity. Hey, everyone's probably done what you've done. I think everyone's wanted to have a glass of wine at night. It's okay. Like, don't kill yourself for it. It's not that big a deal. You're doing okay. And then finally, talk to yourself how you talk to your best friend. Most people's self-dialogue is terrible. They really beat themselves up. But if someone's best friend was eating, a bunch of crap after a really hard day, you'd probably forgive them. You'd say, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You just get back on track next day. But if they keep doing it, you would hold them accountable and push them to be better. That's what a best friend does. And the final mindset principle I teach is the biopsychosocial principle, which is basically that everything is related. So for trainers, it's not a therapy tool like it is for physiotherapists and stuff like that. It's to then be aware of the impact of other areas of life on everything else. So if someone's having a really bad day at work, or they haven't slept, or they got a newborn kid, don't expect their training to be the same. Don't expect their nutritional adherence to be the same, and give strategies for that. Basically become a more holistic minded trainer and look at how different things in their life are impacting them, and then use that to individualize their training on a session by session basis or a week by week basis. The other side of that is to also be aware of the social aspect of it. So starting to become a more open and all-encompassing human being who can recognize that, race, sexuality, culture, religion, all these things can impact how people respond to your communication. So being aware of that when you're communicating with clients will make it so much easier to then facilitate all the changes in the areas and the principles that I previously talked about. So if you can put those 9 principles together in those 3 areas, you can effectively become the ultimate client transformation expert.
Well, Paul, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your expert advice and knowledge with the rest of our FBP family. You know, we don't want to hide that good information there in Sydney, Australia. So we needed to get you on here and get the word out about, you know, you helping other people in the industry to make them become the best personal trainer as possible. Thank you for joining us today. Now go out and become the best client transformationist that you can be. Please head to our show notes for all of Paul's contact information. While you're visiting our show notes page, hit that subscribe button so the show notes can be sent directly to your inbox each week. Now here's that info one more time. Subscribe to the show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
G'day, it's JT here. And I was talking to Blair McCaney, the CEO of one of our sponsors, MX Metrics, the other day. And I gave him a hard time about his company's tagline, defeating mediocrity. By definition, that means he's excluding the majority of the market. But Blair just wouldn't budge. He only wants to work with operators who want to punch mediocrity in the face, really smash it. So I've talked to a few of his customers, like Joe Shirelli from Gainesville Health and Fitness. And yeah, it's for real. While Joe is a nice guy, he isn't satisfied with mediocrity either. He's crushing it as well. So I'm still dubious about selling only to operators who want to defeat mediocrity. But if this resonates with you, I reckon you should check them out. Go to mxmetrics.com. But remember, only if you're interested in smashing mediocrity.
Quickfire 5, sponsored by Hapana.
Please put your hands together and welcome Danielle Hayden to our Quickfire 5 segment. Hey everybody, it's time for the Quickfire 5, and today's guest is Danielle Hayden. She is the CEO of Kickstart Accounting Incorporated. Danielle, welcome to the Quickfire 5 questions.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to know you. First off, we want to know what is one item that is on your bucket list.
The one item, I want to run the Spartan Ultra in Montana. That is on my bucket list.
I've seen that on TV. That looks crazy incredible. Like really
Yes.
awesome. Well, good luck to that. I hope that you do it. You'll have to keep us posted on that.
I will keep you posted.
Okay. All right. Whose business frame would you like to pick?
John Werlow, he is the author of Built to Sell.
What is the most visited web page on your website?
It's our general page, kickstartaccountinginc.com. We're actually very surprised about it every time. The second page is Entrepreneur Money Stories, our podcast. So they kind of fluctuate each month.
What is one book that you would recommend to all of our FBP family?
Built to Sell. Go download it or do the Audible. It just changes the way you think about business.
All right. We'll make sure that we put a link to Amazon Books for your book of choice. And then that way we just make it easier on our listeners today.
Perfect.
All right. And now finally, what is one moment of next week's episode?
Accounting can be so overwhelming for business owners. Understanding our numbers can be so overwhelming, and that there is an opportunity to make big changes in our business by making small changes, by using our numbers, by understanding our numbers so that we can make better business decisions in our business. It does not have to be scary.
All right, Danielle, thank you so much. We look forward to your episode next week.
Hey, Fitness Business Podcast family, Sarah Pellegrino here, your host of The Value Proposition. 2022 is here, friends, and boy, do I have a stellar lineup of monthly episodes just for you. Each month, I'm bringing you an insightful conversation with a different supplier so you can learn the value they bring to the industry above and beyond their product or service. Don't miss this month's episode of The Value Proposition going live this Friday. You can download anywhere you listen to your podcast or from our website. You can watch the vodcast on our YouTube channel or from our website as well, fitnessbusinesspodcast.com.
Danielle reassures us that numbers really aren't that bad. Your business will thank you for this show, so make sure you subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast player, or even better, let us do the work for you. I keep telling you that each week. We can make life easy on you. And subscribe to the show at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. See you guys next week. I have a few thank yous to give out before we end our show today. Thank you to our founding partner, Active Management. Our partners, Keep Me, MyZone, ISSA, and Hapana. Our advertisers, Rex Roundtables, MX Metrics, Vaporfresh. We believe what you leave behind is not what is engraved in stone monuments, but woven into the lives of others.